Hi, my name is Stephanie Shapp and I'm one of the attorneys at DTU. One of my roles as attorney is defending our members when they're accused of things and are being investigated by the district or the Florida Department of Education. As you all know, the district has emphasized this year the idea of knowing the line. I want to share with you all some insight to assist our education professionals in avoiding issues in investigation. This advice applies to our teachers, our paraprofessionals, our security guards, our office staff. Basically, if you work at DCPS, this advice applies to you. So let's start with communication with students. The official way to communicate with students is through school board email or ThrillShare. You should never be communicating with students via text or any other apps, including social media. This is to protect you and the student. If there was an allegation against you regarding communication, the district can look at your emails, the district can look at ThrillShare, and it can defend you against false allegations. They're not able to easily do that if you use text messages or other apps. And the official way you're supposed to be doing it is ThrillShare or school board email. Remember, this still applies if you're an athletic coach or sponsor some other after-school extracurricular activity like in the arts. You need to use email, you need to use ThrillShare, and if those don't work, you need to go through the parents. They are still the official contact for students. Professional interaction with students is the next thing we'll talk about. I start by saying if my eyes were closed and I can't tell who the student or the adult is, that's a problem. Understand, starting with curse words. There is no reason that you should be cursing in front of students or at students, or repeating a curse word if you're correcting them. You do not want a curse word coming out of your mouth on school property, especially in front of students. The other thing is oversharing information, using adult humor. Kids shouldn't know about your dating life, your personal life, your medical issues. All of these should not be classroom topics. There's a difference between saying, hey, I had a great trip to Disney this weekend, and talking about all the personal dates you went on. Remember, students may think this kind of relation with their teacher is cool until the day it's not. Make sure you keep your classroom and your interactions with students and professional. Now let's talk about physical contact with students. You must be cautious about any physical contact with students. Things that are meant to be innocent can easily get taken out of context. I encourage you to develop a handshake, a high five, or any kind of less contact form of interaction. You also never should be putting your hands on a student in an angry manner. Things like grabbing and pulling should not be done. One of the major things we hear a lot about is grooming. Grooming is difficult to define and very subjective, but there are things you can do to avoid even the accusation or appearance of grooming. Number one, following the advice that I just gave you and the district's been giving you about knowing the line, okay? Keep physical contact with students to very innocent things like handshakes and high fives. Keep compliments about students to performance in class versus physical appearance. Saying things like, you spent a lot of time on your homework, your questions in class were very thoughtful, I really enjoyed you participated, versus saying, wow, you look really nice today, or I like that new haircut. Keep it about academics in the school. The next thing is gift giving. It is okay to have a reward system. If you're rewarding students for behavior or things like that, that's okay, but you need to have a well-defined written plan to do that and be able to defend why your student got that reward. Yes, they got this many points, so to avoid an allegation that you're favoring one student versus another. The other thing we see a lot of, and my mom was a high school teacher, that teachers want to sponsor their kids, whether giving them money for lunch, a field trip, graduation. Y'all have big hearts, that's why you're in the profession. But you want to do it the right way. You never want to be seen giving a student cash. All that does is create confusion and impropriety. If you want to sponsor something from a student, see your administrator, find out how to do it through the proper channels in the proper ways so it's documented, it's archived, and there's not any kind of accusation of improper use of gifts. One of the big things that we see an issue with is reporting. Please understand, if you are a DCPS employee, you are a mandatory reporter. That means if you suspect neglect or abuse, you must report to DCF without delay. And you should not and cannot be delegating that task to someone else. You yourself must report. That doesn't mean you can't tell your administrator or your guidance counselor, but you also must report to DCF. This is not for you to investigate and see whether or not this is a real allegation. It is for you to simply report and let DCF do their job. If you see a colleague engaging in conduct that is inappropriate, you must report that to your supervisor and the Office of Equity and Inclusion. There's also a form online that can be used as well that goes to the Office of Equity and Inclusion. If that conduct is potential abuse or neglect, you also must notify DCF as mentioned previously. Not knowing the line can have serious consequences on your job, including loss of your job. For those who hold teaching certificates, if probable cause is found, you could be looking at a strike on your certificate. Florida says 3 strikes and you're out state. That means if over the course of your career you get 3 strikes against your certificate, you don't have one anymore. Even simple violations of your ethical obligations can lead to a strike, a fine, classes, potential suspension, revocation, and a multitude of other consequences. So please, please, please think about how your interactions every day with your students, your colleagues, and your personal life will impact your job and your certificate. If you have any questions about how to handle a situation, email your administrators, get the answer in writing, and obviously you can call DTU if you're a member of DTU. We want everyone to have a year where they can be focus on educating kids and not have to worry about allegations or mistakes like this. Thank you and have a nice day.